And of course I wanted to show an easier dog to make. So here is the easier dog. I would recommend beginners starting with this Pomeranian dog first. If you're able to make this dog, then there's a separate video tutorial that you can try and attempt to make this dog. And then there's a separate video tutorial for the adorable unicorn pet outfit. It has flower button straps. There's a strap for around the neck, and there's a strap that goes under the belly, and it has a flower button as well. And then it has a beautiful mane, different colors, and the tail also. And it also has the beautiful anime eyes. And again, I have the download for the anime eyes. Now these anime eyes are on fabric. And the fabric that I used is the Color Fast sew-in fabric sheets for inkjet printers. And this is June Taylor. And I got this one from Hobby Lobby. But Joanne Craft Store also has them, and you can get them on Amazon online. But so this is actually fabric, and I hot glued mine in place and then sewed around the edges with just sewing needle and thread. And then I drew in the hearts with a pink marker. So again, the download that you will find on my website is a bunch of anime eyes on it, and then you would need this to download it onto fabric to use it on your Pomeranian dogs or whatever amigurumi that you're making. So here is the real pet outfit, which fits a small dog, and I made mine so it would also fit a small dog. If you want the wings, I have crochet wings for my medium-sized unicorn, and you could use that pattern for the wings if you want to add wings to your unicorn pet outfit. So this part is optional too, but you can add a little blush if you want to. So you just take a little blush. I use this blush for my dolls, and then kind of blow on the brush. Then you can take and just gently add a little blush on both sides. Just a little bit. For this crochet project, you're going to need your 3.75mm crochet hook. You're also going to need a tapestry needle or darning needle and a pair of scissors. If you're using the fluffy fur style yarn, then you're going to need your 6mm crochet hook. So your 6mm crochet hook is only when you're crocheting with the fur style yarn. Now on video tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make the crochet Pomeranian dog with just the 3.75mm crochet hook as well as regular yarn. And then that way you'll get used to the feel of the stitches. And then after we make the Pomeranian dog with this style of yarn, I'll show you how to make the Pomeranian dog with the fur style yarn. So for the video tutorial, I'm using one skein of the honey colored yarn, and this is by Yarn Bee Soft Secret. And you're just going to need a little bit of this yarn, so you'll have plenty left over. This is actually some of even my leftover yarn, and I've already made one with this style of yarn. So you'll only need one skein, and this is the honey colored yarn. And for the other alternate color, you're going to need a white colored yarn, and I used I Love This yarn. It has a free pattern included with the yarn, and the color is white. Here's some information about this yarn. The pattern is actually a knit pattern, but I have a separate video tutorial for a cute adult Santa hat. If you're interested in making the soft fur style Pomeranian dog, I'm just going to let you know the yarn styles that I used for that. And the yarn that I used is by Yarn Bee for the Moment almond color. Here's some information about this yarn. And then the alternate color I used was also Yarn Bee for the Moment, and the color is cream. So So you'll need 1 skein of each of these style yarn. And then you'll also need a white colored, not a white colored yarn, but for the snout, I used I Love This yarn. This is some of my leftover metallic yarn, but it looks really beautiful. I used this for the snout, for the fur Pomeranian dog. And the color is ivory, ivory metallic. So on video tutorial I'm going to be using this white colored yarn, but a good alternate to this white colored yarn is this fuzzy white colored yarn, and I used that for one of my Pomeranian dogs. And this yarn is by Yarn Bee, but you're going to need 2 skeins of this style yarn. And it's Yarn Bee Tender Touch Snow Colored, and it just has a little soft texture to it. So if you want to use this instead of the other white colored yarn, that's a nice alternative that you can do. An optional choice that you may want to have, and I use this for a lot of my amigurumi because it helps to attach the legs a lot easier, but I just use Dritz Home upholstery needles, and it comes in different sizes, 6, 8, 10, and 12, and I usually use the 10 and 12 sized needle, but I bought the 4-pack. And for this video tutorial I'm using a safety doll nose, and the safety doll nose that I'm using is a 20 millimeter, and it has a plastic backing. I like the plastic or metal backings the best. Then the other safety doll eye that I use is the 15 millimeter, and you can have fun with the choice of safety doll eyes. These have a fun gold dot all the way around, and these are 15 millimeter, and they have the metal backing. The tongue is optional, but if you want to make the tongue, I used I Love This yarn. It's a really pretty pink, and the name of the pink is Soft Pink. If you want to use the printable anime eyes, you can find anime eyes online for free to print out. If you want to use the same ones that I used, so I use this Color Fast sew and fabric sheet for inkjet printers. You get 10 sheets. This one I got from Hobby Lobby, but it's sold by June Taylor. And I bought the one that's 8.5 by 11 with 10 pieces. It works so easy and it's great to use. I used my hot glue gun to glue the eyes onto the crochet work. And then I used a sewing needle and thread to sew all around the border of the eye to secure it. And I used my large clover pom-pom maker if you wanted to make pom-poms for the fur. So the first thing we're going to do is start with the snout. So you're going to start with your white colored yarn, and you're going to fold the yarn over on itself to form a loop. Take your crochet hook, and remember we're using our 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. Go right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and your thumb. Then you're just going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that knot down and cinch the loop around your crochet hook. And then we're going to make a chain. I'm just going to show you 4 of them on video tutorial, but you're going to make a chain of 12. So you just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for 1, 2, 3, 4. So go ahead, finish a chain of 12 and then come back. So after you make your chain of 12, you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So you just count back 1, 2, and then go right into that stitch. You're going to bring up a loop, and then you're just going to make a single crochet. So you just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through both loops for a single crochet. Then you're going to go into the next stitch over and bring up a loop. And you're going to make one single crochet in every stitch back across, except for the last stitch. In the last stitch, you're going to make 3 single crochet into the same stitch. So go ahead, finish making one single crochet in every stitch, and when you reach the last stitch, come back and I'll work that with you. So now I reached the last stitch, and I'm going to make 3 single crochet into the same stitch. And as I make my 3 single crochet into that last stitch, I'm going to be turning the work to work on the opposite side. And I'm also going behind the loose yarn end. I'm going to bury the loose yarn end as I crochet. We're going to be crocheting in rounds on the opposite side. So now you can see I'm on the opposite side. This is where we just made our single crochet stitches. And you're going to go into the next stitch, and you're going to go behind the loose yarn end and then bring up a loop and finish a single crochet. And you're just going to make one single crochet in every stitch back across except for the last stitch. In the last stitch, you're going to make 3 single crochet into the same stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up with you since I'm almost there. So I'm going to finish making one single crochet into each of these stitches, and then when I get close to the end of the round, I'm going to go ahead and cut the loose yarn end. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that loose yarn end. And then I have 2 stitches remaining. I'm going to make a single crochet into the next stitch, and then 3 single crochet into the last stitch to complete the round. So now I have 25 stitches in the round. If you're off by 1 stitch, it's no big deal. You don't have to worry. But for the next 3 rounds, just make sure that you always have the same stitch count when you get to the yarn marker. So now just place a yarn marker. I just use one of my scraps of yarn. Place it right where you left off. And then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So when you reach the yarn marker, don't remove it, just leave it, and that'll help you keep track of your rounds, because you're going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 3 rounds. So 3 rounds of only 1 single crochet in every stitch around. After you finish 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and make a slip stitch into the next stitch over. So just go right into the next stitch, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops for a slip stitch. Then you can go ahead and finish off, just yarn over, and just pull enough yarn through to sew the snout on the head. And then you can remove the yarn marker. And now we're just going to go ahead and place the safety doll nose. I usually, where I finished off, will be towards the bottom of the snout, and we're going to place the nose in the center on top. So now you want to take and center the nose, and this is the center of the snout. And you're going to place the bottom of the nose just in line with the center of the snout. So I placed it right into the round above the center between, this is the first round after the center. And then once you're happy with the placement of the snout, then you can take and place the safety doll latch onto the back. So you just snap it in place. So now you can set the snout aside while we make the head. So you're going to grab your gold or honey colored yarn, and we're going to start with a magic circle. So just drape the yarn across your 4 fingers, use your thumb to stabilize, and then wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers twice and hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. Then take your crochet hook, go right under those 2 loops around the 2 middle fingers, bring up a loop, and then just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to place 6 single crochet into the magic circle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 6. Then take your forefinger and your thumb, and you're going to hold the base of the 6 single crochet. And you have these 2 loops on the opposite side. Go ahead and pull on one of them. If it doesn't close, let go and pull on the other one, but this one's closing. Don't worry if you don't get it completely closed, because you can always close it more later. Then take that loose yarn end and then pull on that. Then you have the 6 single crochet in the magic circle, and you're ready to work in rounds. You're going to work into that first stitch in the round. So you're going to grab both loops of that first stitch in the round, and then you're going to make 2 single crochet into the same stitch, and you're going to make 2 single crochet in every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches in the round. So 2 single crochet in every stitch around until you have a total of 12 stitches in the round, and then come back. So now I have 12 stitches in the round, and we can close the center of the magic circle. Just take and turn your work over and then pull on the loose yarn end on the back, and then that closes up the center of the magic circle. Then you're just going to take your yarn marker, and I'm just using one of my scraps of yarn, place it right where you left off, and we're going to continue with the increase rounds, which means we're going to continue to increase the number of stitches in the round. For those of you that already know how to make the increase rounds, we're going to be working in chronological order, and we're going to stop on 1 single crochet in 7 stitches and 2 single crochet into the next stitch. So for those that haven't done it before, the first thing you're going to do is, for the first increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you should have a total of 18 total stitches in the round, and I'm not going to give you the stitch count for each round, because all you have to do is add 6 to the previous round. So our previous round had 12 stitches in the round. If you add 6 to that, you end up with 18 total stitches in the round. So then you're going to move the yarn marker up to where you left off for our next increase round. And for this increase round, you're going to make 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker, 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. And then when you finish this round, you will know your stitch count because all you have to do is add 6 to the previous stitch count. Our previous stitch count was 18, so that means you should have 24 stitches when you finish this round. Then for the next increase round, it's 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then for the next round is 1 single crochet into 4 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then 1 single crochet into 5 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then you only have 2 more increase rounds. The next increase round is going to be 1 single crochet into 6 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then the last increase round is 1 single crochet into 7 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you should have finished the last increase round and have a total stitch count of 54 in the round. And now you're going to maintain that stitch count, so we're not going to be making any more increase rounds at this time. So go ahead, move your yarn marker up to where you left off, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 8 rounds. So 8 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now after you finish your 8 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, you're ready to change to your white colored yarn. So you can go ahead, and after you finish your last single crochet stitch, go ahead and go into the next stitch and bring up a loop. You have 2 loops on your crochet hook. Go ahead and bring up a loop with your white colored yarn. Then you can take and just tie a knot with the previous colored yarn. And then you can cut the previous colored yarn. Then you're just going to resume making 1 single crochet in every stitch for only 1 round. So 1 round of 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So now, after you finished 1 round of 1 single crochet in every stitch, we're going to make 1 increase round. So go ahead and place your yarn marker right where you left off, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet into 8 stitches. So after you finish 1 single crochet into 8 stitches, you're going to make 2 single crochet into the next stitch. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. 1 single crochet into 8 stitches, and then 2 single crochet into the next stitch, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you should have 60 total stitches in the round. Then just take and move your yarn marker up, and then you're just going to make 1 single crochet in every stitch around for 5 rounds. So 5 rounds of only 1 single crochet in every stitch around, and then come back. After you finish your 5 rounds of 1 single crochet in every stitch, go ahead and leave a little bit of a loop where we left off, and you can remove your yarn marker. And this color change and the loop where you left off is going to be towards the back of the head. So you just want to turn the work so that the front of the face is facing you, and then the loop is in the back. And then we're going to place the eyes and sew the snout on. So the tongue is optional. I'm going to show you how to make the tongue if you want to place a tongue. So we're going to start with a magic circle. Just drape the yarn across your 4 fingers. Use your thumb to stabilize. Wrap the yarn around your 2 middle fingers and hold it in place with your pinky and your thumb. And then take your crochet hook, go under those 2 loops, bring up a loop, yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Then you're going to place 3 single crochet into the magic circle. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then you're just going to hold the base of the 3 single crochet with your forefinger and thumb. And then just take and pull on the loop. If it doesn't close, again, you just pull on the other loop, but this one's closing. And then just pull on that loose yarn end. Then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring enough yarn through to help sew the tongue in place. So now you have a little tongue. And then make sure that the right side is facing you. And then you can take your tapestry needle and you can either sew it to the side, sew it in the middle, or sew it on the other side. I'm going to sew it on this side. So you just position the tongue where you would like to sew it in place. And then just take your tapestry needle and you're just going to sew along the flat edge. So the curve of the tongue you're just going to leave free. So this curved portion will be free, and then you just sew right along the flat edge of the tongue to secure it in place. And then you just tie a knot on the wrong side. And then you can take and just trim the loose yarn ends. I usually like to tie it a couple of times. And then I just leave about 1 centimeter of loose yarn end. And this is what mine looks like after I sewed it in place. So you want to take your safety doll eye and you want to place it 1 round up from the white portion. So 1 round up from the white portion. And then for the other safety doll eye, you want to count over 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then actually go 1 more stitch, so 8 stitches, and then place the other eye. So that way you have 7 stitches between the eyes. Then, once you're happy with the placement of the safety doll eyes, you can take and turn your work and then get your latches. And then this time I have my metal latches, and then you just place the metal latches onto the back of the eyes. And now you're ready to sew the snout in place. So for the snout, I just use excess white colored yarn, the same colored yarn as the snout as the stuffing. And then you can always add a little bit more before you completely sew the snout in place. Now usually I put this where I finished off on the snout towards the bottom, but this time I had it towards the top. So I'm going to weave it by going through the bottom row of the snout and just weave it down towards the bottom of the snout, because I'm going to sew the bottom of the snout in place first. So now you're going to take and line up the snout on the head, and you want to make sure that the bottom of the snout is 1 round up, because you're going to crochet in that last round, so you don't want to sew over the last round. And you also want to make sure that the nose is centered between the eyes. So once you have the nose centered between the eyes, then you can take and sew the bottom portion of the snout in place first. And like I said, you could always add more of the yarn to the inside of the snout before you sew the sides down. So right now I just have a little bit of yarn stuffing in the snout, and I'm going to sew along the bottom of the snout first. And you can see how I'm sewing it one round up from the bottom of the head. Then, after you finish sewing the bottom, you want to take your tapestry needle and position the top of the snout and make sure that the nose stays centered between the eyes. And then you're going to take and sew the top part of the snout in place. Then, after you finish sewing the top part in place, you can finish adding more craft stuffing, not craft stuffing, but yarn stuffing to the sides of the snout. Then, after you finish stuffing the sides of the snout completely, then you can take and finish sewing the sides of the snout. So then you just take and sew both sides until the snout is completely sewn in place. This is what my face looks like after I have the snout sewn in place. Now we're ready to finish closing the head. So now you want to go back to where you left off on the back of the head and place the yarn marker right where you left off, and we're going to make a decrease round. So for this first decrease round, which means we're going to be decreasing the number of stitches in the round, you're going to make one single crochet into the next 8 stitches. So after you make one single crochet into 8 stitches, then you're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. So you go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop. You have 2 loops on the hook. Go ahead and go into the next stitch over and bring up a loop. 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through all 3 for a decrease stitch, or single crochet 2 stitches together. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. Back to the yarn marker, make one single crochet into 8 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now you should have a total of 54 stitches in the round, and we're going to make our next decrease round. For the next decrease round, you're just going to make one single crochet into 7 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So you can see how you're gradually decreasing the opening, which is what we want. And to get the stitch count, just subtract 6 from the previous round. Our last round had 54 stitches, so if you subtract 6 from that, then you should have 48 total stitches in the round. So then for your next decrease round, you're going to make one single crochet into 7 stitches, actually 6, because we did 7 on the previous round. So one single crochet into 6 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then make one single crochet into 5 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating the pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. Then make one single crochet into 4 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating the pattern all the way around back to the yarn marker. So now at this point, go ahead and add your craft stuffing and shape the head. Then you're ready for your next decrease round. And we're going in chronological order, as you've noticed. So our last one was one single crochet into 4 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together. So this one will be one single crochet into 3 stitches. And then single crochet 2 stitches together. And then you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around, back to the yarn marker, 1 single crochet into 3 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around, back to the yarn marker. So you can see how we're almost closed, and now, you guessed it, 1 single crochet into 2 stitches, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around, back to the yarn marker. Then you're going to make 1 single crochet into 1 stitch, and then single crochet 2 stitches together, repeating that pattern all the way around, back to the yarn marker. Then you can go ahead and remove the yarn marker, and then you're just going to make single crochet 2 stitches together until you are almost closed. And then when you're almost closed, come back, and then I'll show you how to slip stitch the rest of it closed. So now you can see that I'm almost closed. So now we're going to slip stitch it closed. So you're going to skip the next stitch, go into the next stitch, and then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops for a slip stitch. And you're going to keep repeating that until the head is completely closed. So mine's already closed. I'm going to go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and then just pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. Then just take your tapestry needle, put it onto the loose yarn end, and then you're just going to go right where you finished off and then go out anywhere on the head, and then that buries your loose yarn end. And then you can trim the loose yarn end. And now we have the head. So we're going to go ahead and finish the ears. So I'm going to show you how to make the ears. So now for the ears, you're going to use your honey colored yarn, and you're going to fold it so that you have a loop. Take your crochet hook, go right through the loop, hold the base of the loop with your middle finger and your thumb. Then you're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for a slip knot. Go ahead and cinch that knot down, and then cinch the loop around your crochet hook. And then I'm going to show you 4 chains on video tutorial, but you're going to make a chain of 10. So go ahead and yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and go through the loop for your first chain. Second chain, third, and fourth. So go ahead, finish a chain of 10, and then come back. So now after you finish your chain of 10, you're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So just count back 1, 2, second chain, go into the second chain with your crochet hook, bring up a loop, and then make a single crochet. And then you're just going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch back across. So 1 single crochet into every stitch back across, and then come back. So now you just finished your first row, and your stitch count should be 9. Then we're going to move up to the next row. So you just chain 1, turn your work, and that first chain 1 counts as the first stitch for this row. So you're not going to go into the stitch at the base of the chain 1, you're going to go into the next stitch over. So you take your crochet hook, go into the next stitch over, bring up a loop, and then make a single crochet. So that counts as your second stitch. And you're going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch back across, and when you get to the end, you should still have a stitch count of 9. So now we're going to make the third row the exact same way. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch, and then 1 single crochet into every stitch back across, And when you finish this row, you should still have a stitch count of 9. So now you're not going to chain 1 after you finish that third row. You're going to turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch, and 1 single crochet into every stitch back across. And when you finish this row, because you didn't chain 1, you should have a stitch count of 8. So then you're going to turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch, and 1 single crochet into every stitch back across. And when you finish this row, you should have a stitch count of 7. So now you're going to turn your work again, make a single crochet into the next stitch, and you're going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch back across. And when you finish this row, you should have a stitch count of 6. So you can see how you're starting to form a triangle, which is what you want, and you should be at a stitch count of 6. Now you're just going to turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch, and 1 single crochet into every stitch back across, and this time you're going to have a stitch count of 5. Then turn your work, make a single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet into each of the remaining stitches, and then you'll have a stitch count of 4. Turn your work, single crochet into the next stitch, and a single crochet into the last 2 remaining stitches, which will give you a stitch count of 3. Turn your work, single crochet into the next stitch, and then you're just going to slip stitch into the last remaining stitch. So you just yarn over, turn the hook upside down, and bring the yarn through both loops for a slip stitch. Then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and just pull enough yarn through to bury into your work. So you have 1 piece of the ear finished. You're going to need 3 more of these triangles made the exact same way. You're going to have 2 triangles for each ear. So go ahead, finish 3 more triangles made the exact same way, and then come back. So now, after you finish your 4 triangles for the ears, go ahead and take 2 of the triangles, and you're going to place the triangles on top of each other. Make sure that the loose yarn ends line up, and then you can tie a knot with the loose yarn ends at the bottom. And then you're going to join the honey-colored yarn right in the bottom corner where you just tied a knot with the loose yarn ends, and then just bring up a loop. Make sure that you grabbed the bottom corner of both triangles, and then bring up a loop with the honey-colored yarn, and then just tie a knot. Then you can take and chain 1. Then you're just going to make a single crochet evenly spaced all along the edge of the triangle. So you go right into the next space. You're going to create a space because you're working along the sides. So you're just going to evenly space the single crochet. Make sure you grab the second triangle, bring up a loop, and then just make a single crochet. And then you're just going to evenly space your single crochet stitches all along the edge of the triangle until you get to the tip of the triangle. Sometimes it helps to kind of jiggle your hook back and forth to get into the space. And then once you get to the tip, the stitch right before the tip, you may need to put 2 single crochet into the same space. And then as you're crocheting across the tip, go ahead and tuck the loose yarn ends towards the center of the ear, and then you're just going to make a single crochet into the tip. Just kind of jiggle your crochet hook until you can get through both triangles for the tip of the ear. Make a single crochet, and then you're going to go into the first stitch along the opposite side and make 2 single crochet into the same stitch, and then you're just going to resume crocheting down the opposite side. You can see how I'm crocheting the 2 pieces together. It's looking good. And then down the opposite side, you're also going to make 1 single crochet into every stitch, evenly spaced down the opposite side. Now once you've finished reaching the bottom of the opposite side, then you can go ahead and finish off. Just yarn over and then pull enough yarn through to sew the ear onto the head. And then you could take the loose yarn ends and tuck them inside of the ear. So any loose yarn ends I usually just tuck into the side of the ear. And then you have 1 ear complete. Go ahead and finish the other ear the exact same way. So now I have both of the ears complete, and they're ready to be sewn onto the dog's head. So when you sew the ears in place, I usually use the magic circle as a landmark, and I count out 1, 2, 3, 4, and after the 5th round is where I'm going to sew the ear in place. And then I also line up the ear with the 8th stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's the 8th stitch from the eye and the 5th round from the magic circle. And then once you have the placement, you can take your tapestry needle and then just take and sew the front portion of the ear in place. So just make sure that you have the ear positioned at the top portion too, and then just sew it in place. Just go in and out. Sewing the ear in place. So I sew the front first, portion of it first, and then I sew the back. So then after I sewed the front, then you can take and position the back, kind of open it up just a little bit and place it onto the back of the head, and then you could sew the back of the ear in place. Then after you finish sewing it in place, you could tie a knot in the back of the ear. I just go through the back of the ear a stitch, and then I just tie a knot. I usually like to go through twice. And then after I tie a knot, just go right where you tied your knot, up into the ear anywhere, and come out. And then that's how I bury my loose yarn in. Now for the other ear, a good way to line it up is you want to make sure where you fall. We went 8 stitches out, but you're also on the round right at the top of the safety doll eye. So you want the same round on the other ear for the other ear, and then count out 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go in with your tapestry needle at that mark, and then come up where you want to come out on the magic circle. So count 1, 2, 3, 4. So around the 5th round, and you're in line with the other ear, and then come up with your tapestry needle, and then that's one way that you can place the ear so that you know that you have the placement that you want and that the ears will be the same on both sides. And then you can take and go into the corner of the ear and then finish sewing the ear in place. So then I have both ears sewn on, and they're both symmetrical or look the same on both sides.